Good evening, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the Nicholas County Board of Education regular meeting, Monday, April 8, 2024. Please stand for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Please join the board with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, number 3, approval of the agenda. Any changes?
Yeah, two adjustments on it. On item number 4, approve the minutes of the meeting being held March 4th special. That one's already been completed, so you need to take that off the agenda. And then under personnel, at the end of your agenda, under resignations, you're going to see the name Rachel Ford. And all we need to do there is change a resignation effective date from April the 4th to April the 12th. And that's the only two things that I have.
And then, of course, we will be having an executive session to discuss personnel after 15A. So 15B. Okay, number 4, approval of the minutes of the meetings held on March 4th, the regular meeting, March 18th, the special meeting, and March 18th, the regular meeting.
I saw no additions or corrections. I move to approve.
Okay, motion to approve by Mr. Moose. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Berry. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, we have student representatives tonight from Richwood High School, Bailey Jarrett and Savannah Moose.
Good evening. First thing we have coming up is Richwood High School's prom is on April 20th. This year's theme is the Roaring 20s. This year's prom court is Addison Dudley, Hannah Curry, Jaden Jones, Presley Perry, and Katie Stanley. Last week, National Honor Society volunteered at the Lions Club Pancake Dinner. Thank you to the Lions Club for giving us the opportunity to help the community.
The Skills USA State Leadership and Skills Conference was held at Fairmont State College on March 22nd and 23rd. RHS took home many medals, including gold, Bailey Jarrett for job interview, gold, Chloe Cox for medical math, gold, Jolena Miller and her team for chapter display, gold, Braden McPherson for related technical math, silver, Riley Price for extemporaneous speaking, silver for Lily Thomas for t-shirt design, bronze, Caitlin Kessler, Savannah Bailey, Kaylin Williams for promotion and bulletin board, bronze, Mason Heyer for construction tool ID.
And we have a special shout out to Ben Pettit for winning the West Virginia Army National Guard t-shirt design contest with over 1,200 likes on Facebook. We'd also like to thank Mrs. Kaiser at NCHS for encouraging students to vote.
The RHS track team hosted a meet on March 29th, and we had lots of students place. And the Lumberjack Express has ratings next Thursday, so we would like to wish them good luck.
Our baseball and softball teams have been working hard, and they both won some games this season. We wish them good luck for the rest of their season. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, girls.
Good job.
Okay, number 6, superintendent's information, updates. Mr. Bean.
Well, the first thing on the agenda, it talks about an MIP submission. MIP stands for Major Improvement Project, and we are applying to the School Building Authority for a $1 million grant to replace in its entirety the sewer system at Nicholas County High School. It's been needing done for many years, and it's a major project. And the School Building Authority every year opens up application process for counties to apply for them. And the way they work is you simply do an application, it cannot exceed $1 million, and you can only assign the project to one school. In other words, you can't take $1 million and say, well, I'll spend $500,000 here and $500,000 there. Has to be no more than $1 million, and has to be designated to one school. And the way we made that determination was that one of the things that the high school that needed, one of the things in our entire county that needed to address most is the sewer system. And so we got our bids back. We did submit this to the SBA at the end of March. They will make a decision in June. We feel really good about our chances of getting this approved because, you know, when you have sewer problems in your high school, you know, that's not good. And the School Building Authority really wants to look out for the safety of our kids and our employees, and that's a health hazard. So it's not something that I will go down and actually present. We'll do that later in the year when we do our needs project. And nobody does interviews for the MIP. They're just simply submission of an application, and then we'll find out in June whether we get it approved or not. If we do, then we'll immediately get started on hiring an architect and getting bids out to get our project done. And obviously, a project like that's going to have to be done when school's not in session, because a lot of the issues with that sewer system is in our hallways. It's underneath the hallways where the sewer lines run, and there's no sewer lines exist anymore. So we got all those fumes and stuff coming out through. You can imagine it's not very pleasant. So that's something we're going to be working on as a major project for us. And as we get closer to needs project time, I will go through what we're going to do with that for our VOTEC in the fall. As far as my other updates, I have a few I want to touch on. First of all, there has been a community levy committee formed. They're going to meet here at 2 o'clock tomorrow to talk about our school levy. As you know, we've had an excess levy for many years, long as before I was born. We've had an excess levy. And a school board and a superintendent are not allowed by law to go out and stump for the levy. All we're allowed to do is tell you what the levy provides for. But a community group, and in all counties that have levies, they have these groups, they are allowed to go out and say, you need to support the levy for these reasons. And so that's why we formed this committee. And so they're going to meet here tomorrow. I'm not sure who all's on that committee yet. We've got 5 or 6 community leaders from all over our county to sit down and discuss the strategy on how to present this levy. And I know they're open to going to civic groups. I have offered to go to any of the schools and talk to parent groups or to school groups and just explain what our levy pays for. And so that's going to be going on. That comes up in the May 14th election. Our levy does not expire until 25, but the legislature passed a bill last year where you can only run a levy on a primary or general election. You can't run a special Saturday to do a levy call. So if we didn't do it during 2024, we'd have to wait till 2026 and our levy would expire. So that's why we have to run it in 24.
It's the same
It
amount
is,
of money.
it's the same rate. We are allocating the money a little bit differently. We're putting more money towards student safety than some of the other areas, but we're still going to be supporting the libraries and those things that they've always supported. It's just we kind of changing on how much we're putting into certain things in order to do things about our school safety, which leads into my next topic. I need the board to give me a little direction. We had a demonstration a few weeks ago from Safe Haven, and that's a company who builds a protective layer, for lack of a better term, over windows to protect from gunfire going into a building. They were very, I didn't get to see it, but the people who saw it was very impressed with the demonstration. I know we had, police department was there, and county commission, I think, was there, and of course, our school board was there to look at that. So I need some direction from the board if they would like for me to seek bids to put these on our schools, and which schools you'd like for me to get bids on. So that's something you can't tell me right out now. I know that it's not a vote item. But you need to think about that, and so at our next board meeting, we'll put on the agenda, Tim, to consider seeking bids for the Safe Haven project. And again, that's all about student safety.
We might have to wait on that because Homeland Security is trying to get a grant to cover part of that.
Okay. We probably would still need some bids, at least an idea of what it would cost, just in case the bid, that didn't go through, but I agree with that. The next thing is we have our cornerstone ceremony for our new building at Glade Creek. It's going to be scheduled in May. We're going to be meeting with the SBA and ZMM sometime later in this month to, I think it's actually next week. We're going to be sitting down and talking to them about the process of developing this cornerstone ceremony. The ceremony itself will occur sometime in late May. We will invite the governor's office up to see that if they would like to participate in that. But that's a pretty big step for us in building our new school. And we also need to contact Governor Justice. I think Mr. Fickerson may have done it today as far as the groundbreaking ceremony. He was interested in getting that done, you know, this spring. So we're working towards that. And then the last thing I want to give an update on is our construction. On April 16th, the next board meeting, Skanska will be providing us with another updated narrative on where exactly we are with our two projects. The Glade Creek project, the work that was being done there by Carson Haney's outfit is pretty much done. They're doing a few little touch-up things, but the prep work for that ground is pretty much finished. The Richwood project, of course, is an ongoing project, and they're going to give us an update there on where we stand with that as far as the progress on that project. Then on the May 6th, ZMM will be coming back and talking to us about our new project and where we are as far as getting ready to send out our bids for that. And the last thing that I'm going to mention is we have requested that they give us some additional presentation boards that shows our floor plans and our outside and inside of our buildings for both the Richwood project and the Glade Creek project, so we can display more of those throughout our community. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Superintendent? Okay, number 7 is recognition, and so Dr. Lee, are you taking care of this?
And Leslie Walton.
Leslie Walton, don't forget Leslie.
And Samantha Murphy.
And, Samantha's here. Mansfield Day winners.
We're going to start with spelling bee because there's only 2 kiddos, so they don't have to wait on the max.
Well, we'll save the good stuff for
We'll
last.
save the good stuff for last.
Good evening. I'm Samantha Murphy. I'm a technology integration specialist for Nicholas County Schools. I'm also a spelling bee coordinator as of this year. And first of all, I just want to say thank you to all the parents and also to all of our teachers and spelling bee coordinators at the school level, because without all of you all, this would not be possible. The spelling bee is sponsored by the Charleston Gazette. And ever since COVID, we have done the spelling bee online because the Gazette regional spelling bee is also done online. That way our kids feel more prepared to take that test. We have 2 winners to recognize tonight. We have our runner-up for the Nicholas County Spelling Bee, and that is 5th grader from Summersville Elementary School, and the name is Kalia Cooley. Hopefully I said that right. Is Kalia here? No? Okay, and our winner of the Nicholas County Spelling Bee is Gigi Box.
Mr. Lee, you guys want to come up and shake hands and take a picture? Just stand right there in the middle. They'll come around you.
Congratulations. That's awesome. That's awesome. I was one of the world's worst scholars in my lifetime.
Thank you. Squeeze together, stay right there.
We won't bite, I swear to God.
Not hard anyway.
Slide in a little bit, Mr. Moose. There we go. Got it.
We won't spell either, will we?
It's fine, but no need to go sit down, you got more.
Well, they may want to sit down because there's a bunch of them, so. I'm Leslie Boffman. I'm also a technology integration specialist for the county, and I was given Math Field Day to coordinate this year. So we are here to celebrate the accomplishments of some stellar mathletes tonight. So I want to thank all of you that are in attendance tonight. We're going to do senior high first. So senior high competition was held on Saturday, March 2nd, 2024. It was an adventure getting there. We had several students that placed in the top 10 of the county that were unable to attend. We had to call in several alternates to have a full team. One of those alternates, which he's here tonight, we had to call in the morning of the event and pick up on the way. So good job, buddy. We had 2 students place in the top 10 of regionals and 2 more in the alternates. The top 2 in the top 10 are eligible to attend state competition on April 20th at Concord University. Would the following students come up and line up in front to be recognized? So we have Braden McPherson. He is first place in county and 3rd in regionals. I don't see him. Adriana Shiflett. She was 2nd place in county. Then we have John Shiflett. He was 3rd place in county and honorary placement in regionals. Drew Johnson, 4th place in county. Jolena Miller, 6th place in county and honorary placement in regionals. Here you go. You're welcome. Abraham Robinson, 9th place in county and highest scoring sophomore at county. Sam Feinstein, 10th place in county and 10th place at regionals. Yep, there's lots of practices going on right now. Alexis Keffer, 2nd alternate in county. Brady Smith, 3rd alternate county. And Trey Dorsey, 4th alternate county. Thank you for being flexible too. Okay, do you want to take a picture after this one?
That's awesome. Congratulations. You didn't have Mr. Prime under you.
No, there's 7 here.
Ease in there. Okay. Next time.
Yes, there's more in the Okay, the grade 4 through 9 competition was held on March 20th at Adventures on the Gorge. All our students that placed in the top tiers of the county competition were able to attend. Nicholas County represented very well in the competition. We have 8 students that are eligible to attend state competition on April 20th at Concord University, which is a total of 10 students in the county. Nicholas County was second place in the team competition as well. Along with their certificate, each student is receiving a certificate for zip lining at Adventures on the Gorge, compliments of Adventures on the Gorge. Would the following students come up and line up in front to be recognized? Do you want to do this by, do you want to
Well, we'll see how
pause each
many are
grade?
here. Yeah,
Okay.
let's look at like 4th and 5th, if there's not
Okay.
very many here.
4th grade, I have Brody Davis, first place in county. Gavin Lewis, second place in county and second place in regionals. I'll take it if you don't. There you go, buddy. Kristen Moses, third place in county. Okay. 5th grade, Emma Young, first place in county and second place at regionals. Jaden Pontier was second place in county and first at regionals. And then John Springstead was third place in county. He is here.
That's all our elementary. If you guys want to come and do a picture with them, and then we're on to
Yes, I saw that.
thought of me, didn't it?
Yes.
You have to slide over.
Move this way, Brady.
There you go. Got it.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations. Okay, 6th grade, we have Adeline Epperson, first place in county. Xander Bryant, second place in county. And Caden McPherson, third place in county. 7th grade, we have Braylon Williams, first place in county and third place at regionals. Emma DeMoss, second place in county. And Lily Swider, third place county. 8th grade, we have Susan Gilman, first place county and first place regionals, and she is a track practice, I do know that. Noah Roberts, second place county and second place regionals. And then, that's 8, 6, 7, 8. Do you want to go ahead and do 9 with them too? Oh, sorry, Jaden Evans, third place county. He's not here. Okay. Then we have
Except
high
we're getting
school.
taller now.
I know.
Slide in there, Mr. Green. There you go. Here, got it.
Okay, congratulations, guys.
Hang on.
I know you drove me off.
I'm sorry, that was reading. I know.
Okay, 9th grade. We have Tev France, first place county and second place regionals. We have Owen Groves, second place county and second place regionals. And Molly Dorsey, third place county. Congratulations to all winners. You represent our county very well. Oh, that's, I didn't even do so.
Awesome.
And we thank you, Miss Leslie, we thank you. I know that's a big job.
Thank you.
What you doing?
So you guys, hey Mike.
Okay, next we have delegations. Chris Kelly. Mr. Kelly, would you like this to be an executive session?
Yes.
Okay. So we'd ask, we need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Delegation.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Ferguson made the motion, Mr. Moose seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Out of executive session.
So moved.
Mr. Moose makes a motion, seconded by Mr. Berry. All in favor? Aye. At 6:44, and there were no decisions made in executive session. Okay, next, presentation discussion. Item A would be Camden Dolly Medical Center.
We're fine friends.
My name is Kristen Bales. I work at Panther Creek Elementary, Camden Family Health School-Based Health Clinic. I have for the past 9 years. Camden, we're basically here today to just kind of clear up some confusion on the safety and things that goes on in our school-based health clinics. Like I said, I've been there about 9 years. Camden has 10 school-based health clinic sites. Some are in the school and some are outside of the school. Mine is outside of the school. And although we serve the community in our school or in our clinics, the children that attend the school are our top priority. The safety of our students is the first priority and our responsibility. All students are accompanied by one of our office staff members or school employees to and from the clinic. A child is never left alone while coming into the clinic or returning to the school. The children are always seen before anyone else in the clinics. Even if the community patients are on schedule, they are taken directly back into the exam room and never left alone in the office. All parents or caretakers are notified if their child is being seen in our clinics, and they are informed of all of their treatments and care. There is always a school-based consent or telephone consent in place before we see a child at our clinics. All sites have security cameras on the inside and on the outside of the buildings and the schools, and all of the sites have doors that are always locked and secure, especially from the outside community. We have a very good rapport and relationship with the staff at each of our sites. We have collaborated a safety plan for active shooters, safety drills, and fire drills with our school staff, so we communicate well with the principals and the staff at our schools. I have a very good rapport with those people. They're wonderful to me. We have a great relationship, and I know that's the same with all of our other school health-based clinics. We also develop relationships with our school nurses to help collaborate to care for the children at our schools. I personally have a really good relationship with Cheryl Childers. She's the school nurse at Panther Creek Elementary. We're a team. We always work together to make sure that we do what's best for the child. One of the things that we are able to do that the nurses can't do that, kind of benefits the schools is we can give medication, basic medications to the student like Tylenol, ibuprofen, those things if they have a headache. And Cheryl always contacts us or lets us know, or the nurse in the school to let us know what's going on with the child and if we need to see him or not. So there's a really good rapport and relationship with the nurses there. The nurses can only give medications to students if they have a medication administration form, and that would be given from a physician or a nurse practitioner by their primary care provider. Services we offer through our school-based health clinics are lab services, blood work through LabCorp, in-office testing such as flu, COVID, strep, RSV, mono, and pregnancy testing. We can also do routine wellness checkups and vaccinations. Emergency medical services for the school. We're on site for any emergency that takes place in the school. Simple medication management, of course with the school-based health consent form, free sports physicals, telehealth services, simple procedures, mental health and counseling services, which Heather's going to explain a little bit more after I'm done here. We offer the Marathon Scholars Program for students at the end of the year. It's 26 books and 26 miles, and Camden sponsors a t-shirt for them at the end of the school year. Health fairs, we always have health fairs at every school. Educational training and services for teachers and staff on certain topics if needed to promote the safety of both students and the staff. We also provide all these services to our teachers at the school. This includes routine physicals for insurance physicals, women's health services, lab work. We also do Bonnie's Bus, which is mammogram screenings, and we do Lucas Bus lung cancer screenings. And these buses come from WVU and go onto the school property by schedule. So they have that opportunity as well. This kind of helps with convenience to provide health services to busy schedules and lifestyles, and we always accommodate our teachers and our students on our schedule over our community. Our vision for the new school-based health clinics would be we can offer a flexible options to accommodate the needs of each school. We have a mobile unit that we would plan on using. We could send 1 day a week to each school and can increase this based on the individual school needs. We'd have to see how it would go. We also are offering ophthalmology services. We're going to be able to do that on our mobile unit. So we're going to schedule a day a month for each school to do eye exams for the students and for the staff. We're also going to do that with dental. There will be a dental chair in our mobile unit so that they can schedule at each school once a month to do dental exams and cleanings by our dentistry department. So that's future plans for what we can offer with our mobile unit. We want to offer what's best for the school and the community, and our goal is to provide the best quality health care and easy accessibility of services to help promote the well-being of students and the staff and our community, of course. But our top priority is definitely the safety of the students, and we do pretty good at making sure that they are accommodated well, and our schools, but you know, we've never had any trouble. I've been there 9 years and I love it. It's a passion. And I think all of our providers will, you know, make that a top priority. So I just wanted to give you guys that idea of what we could offer for you all for a new school-based health clinic at other sites, or what we do now. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to ask them.
I think the main concern, and it was my concern mainly, was like at Zila, you know, once you open the door to Zila, you're in the building.
Mm-hmm.
So my concern is opening the buildings to the public for just people to come and go to the clinic if it's inside. I know at Panther Creek it's outside.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was a couple instances in the past where we had to lock our building down for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And so how are you going to do that if that happens inside the school? And
Well,
this day and time,
mm-hmm.
and I know everybody probably thinks he's crazy, that's not going to happen here, but that's what they thought you know, everywhere else that's happened, that's what they thought.
So currently, Cherry River Elementary,
I know.
we have that clinic, and we do not open it out to the outside.
Right.
Until we are able to provide outside services for the community, we would not offer those services.
Right, it has to have an outside.
It has to have an outside entrance.
That was my concern.
Yes.
It has to have an outside entrance for them to come in, so we separate the kids from the clinic.
That's the way we do it at Gauley River.
Gauley
It's
River
the way
does
we
the same
do it at
thing.
Gauley River, there's an outside door that's locked. They have to be buzzed in order to get in the building. So our top priority is always the student safety. So if we wouldn't have that access, then we would not have.
Well, yeah, you have that at Zila, Mount Nebo, Mount Lookout.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the mobile, if we would use the mobile
It would work just the same
It
as an
would work
outside
the same,
entity,
yes.
yes.
Right, and I'm okay with that, but you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely, and that's why we're here to answer any questions that you have.
And so that's why I questioned it last time it was on the board agenda, so that's,
Once they buzz in on the schools that aren't outside and are inside, but have an outside entrance, once they buzz in or in that clinic, do they have access to the school?
No, so the doors are locked, so there is
So
no.
the inside
yes.
doors are locked?
Yes, and students can't come from the school into our clinic unless they have to have a button, and we have to be notified as well for that.
From that
So,
side?
yes, so both ways are separated.
And they're locked.
Mhm.
so, you know, if you could come in, there was a man trap, and they could only go into the clinic,
Mhm.
and, you know, I'm not trying to keep parents out of schools, I'm not trying to do that.
Oh, we understand.
But
Understand.
we gotta have some control, so, you know.
Well, I think we had talked to Mr. Bean about that a little bit, that it's ideal to be in the school when it's the little kids, because it's easier for them to get there. However, if you don't have a space that we could be in that has an outdoor entrance, then it would be, we shouldn't use the mobile. We shouldn't be in there without an outside entrance. for the
Well, and then we
adults.
always make sure, like, that's where the communication's key. You know, in my clinic, the way it's worked, and we've done it 9 years, is one of the staff members here or in my office or one at the school has to be with the child at all times. We sign them in and out. They go straight from school through the door into a room, and they are never left alone with anybody in that building, never. So they always have somebody with them at all times, and we've never had a safety concern yet. I hope the Lord we never do, but we do have a safety plan in place, and what I do really like about Panther Creek is they include us with their safety plan, and we include them in ours. So we work together as a team to make sure the students have that extra safety and protection that they need. And I know that other schools do that as well. It's just part of the plan and the protocol.
Yeah, that part doesn't concern me,
Yes.
I know that.
Okay.
But
I know, you've
what-
been, yeah.
What concerned me was if we were opening our buildings to just any John Doe that walks down the
Yeah,
hall.
I think what was said at the last meeting was, and Chip's exactly right, Chris, and I don't think the concern is well, safety plan and what you're doing and how you're administrating it. The concern is any schools that are indoor, that don't have a separate interest, can be locked or whatever, should just be not community-based, it should just be school-based. I think, you know, it should just be school-based until they can make.
Unless they have a mobile unit.
Yes.
Yeah, unless they can go outside.
Mhm.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
you can get that mobile unit
Yes.
within a reasonable distance of the school.
Yes, it's also just like our Lucas and Bonnie bus, like, I don't know if you guys know, but like each of our schools and locations, they set up with WVU for a Lucas bus and a Bonnie's bus outside. So, I mean, it's
Right.
definitely, it's close together, so, I mean, that's something that we've been doing as well. I mean, so it'd be the same with the students with the mobile unit, we would implement the same safety plan and just make sure that we, you know, take the extra steps to make sure they get to and from the school, but it will be close by, yes.
And the MOUs actually state on the grounds of or inside the school. So when we talked about it in our meeting, we decided to put it in there so that we could leave it open to do what works for the school.
I'll go over behavioral health real quick, just so you guys can have an idea of what we do. We have behavioral health options in all of our school-based programs. We have behavioral health providers and therapists in all of our school-based clinics. We have 2 providers in the Somersville Elementary, Tony Brook and Amanda Shelton, who are there 3 days a week, and in Panther Creek, they're there 2 days a week. We have 1 provider in Witchwood High School and Middle School, and that's Jennifer Hall, and she's there 2 days a week. Amanda Shelton is also in Cherry River, Golly River, 1 day a week. We have a new health educator, and we've just hired another one today, so we'll have 2 health educators. The health educator, Haley Sharp, currently goes to Golly River, Cherry River, Somersville Elementary, Richwood High School and Middle School, Panther Creek. And the new one is Kasha Russell, and she's going to be training. I don't know if she'll finish up this year or not, but next year she'll definitely be there. Haley provides evidence-based programs that are set up by the state of West Virginia. They tell us through the ESMH grant that we have with another county what services to provide, and I mirror what Nicholas County does through that program. So it's the evidence-based programs that Haley offers include Tier 1 and Tier 2 services, which include Life Skills, Hazelden Lifeline, Catch My Breath, Stanford Alcohol Prevention, and Ripple Effects. They also work with the staff and parents to assess the needs for Tier 3 services, which is therapy services, and make referrals as needed. They work with the school to assess any other needs of the school, and the student body to determine any other needs that's in that school. So if there's a bullying problem, then they can work with Haley and we can implement a bullying program within that school body. We offer medication-assisted treatment for children through Jill Johnson. She's located at the Summersville Elementary, and she does the medication and management for children. And we can also offer telehealth services. If we're not in the clinic and I have a health educator there and they need therapy, we can do a telehealth session with a provider that's not there that day. And we're always looking to add more behavioral health providers to meet the needs of the students and staff. Our goal is to have a behavioral health provider in each location, eventually in at least 2 or 3 behavioral health educators at least 2 or 3 days a week. So that was me kind of quick.
You guys have any questions for us? I hope that helped explain that tonight. We appreciate you guys letting us come up here and talk.
I think it's good. I'm always interested in, I hate to assume things is my answer. I can understand why you'd be in the schools, that's school-based clinic or whatever. Do you try to open up to the community just from a volume standpoint to be able to have the staffing to be able to handle more people versus having one at the school and then a separate one somewhere in the community? I'm just curious of why they combine the community with the school.
So the school, so the school-based, financially, it's more of a financial model because, you know, it's difficult to maintain that the cost of running a clinic without that outside referral of
Yeah,
the community.
that's what I assume.
So that's why we need to have.
So you need the
that.
volume, in order to take care of the schools, you need the volume
Yes,
from the
yes,
community.
yes.
Well, and like Nettie, Levacy, Canvas, there's no
Nothing.
facility
Yes.
there. Here in Summersville, there's all kinds of them, so, yeah, I understand.
That makes sense.
Well, thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you guys so much. I'll get it this evening.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you, Chrissy. I remember when you were just a little thing.
I know.
Out there playing softball, running with my daughter.
I know, I was just telling them that. I was like, I didn't know you were on the board, but I'm glad I got to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
I seen Jessica, we were really blessed by her for helping us with that Nicholas County Youth for Christ money to be able to buy 300 families Christmas.
Oh, Jessica.
Yeah, yes,
she
she's
does
such a
a lot of
blessing.
things behind the scenes. I'm real proud of her.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
We appreciate her.
All right, thank you, ladies. Presentation discussion item B, Misty Carpenter and Chris Hanshaw.
Oh, are you helping me? We're gonna make faith with that. Good. Don't do that, don't harass her. Oh, no, that might help. I'm Misty Carpenter, and I'm gonna give a brief overview of the school-based Medicaid program. And I give you each a handout, just kind of what I'm going over. The school-based Medicaid program was designed for low-income families who have children with a medical necessity through an IEP, and we provide them with services through the school environment. It's jointly funded through the state and federal government, through DHHR, and also through BMS, which is the Bureau for Medical Services, which is part of DHHR, and it's responsible for the Medicaid program. Some services we provide are speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and those can be provided in the school setting instead of having to go to a completely different location. So it makes it more convenient for the student. And we get our therapist enrolled with Medicaid, and they can bill for their services they provide. And on their side, they can upload their billing, and then I can go pull it up on my side, and then I can take that and input it into the Medicaid portal, and then that's how we get our Medicaid reimbursement money. And therapists must have an NPI number, which is a national provider number. That's linked to them, and that's how they're able to bill for the services. That number's tied to them for life. Even if they leave our school system, that's still their number for life. And we also have to get proper consents for the students to be able to bill for their services. We actually have to have 3 consents in place, and even if we're missing just one of those, we can't bill for them, so that's always really important. We have to have all of those in line before we can even bill. By our therapists providing these services, we get money reimbursed back to our county through billing, and we also have a system that we have to monitor called a random moment time study. And this system generates what's called a random moment. It's emailed to a participant, which is our therapist, like our speech therapist, physical therapist. And they get an email and they have to follow that link and answer some questions about what they were doing at the time that the moment was generated. And these moments are beneficial because if that provider was doing something Medicaid related, then that counts in our favor towards our Medicaid reimbursement monies. And those moments are compared against the billing. It supports our claims. And we have to monitor that system pretty closely and make sure participants answer those moments. And we can't drop below an 85% compliance rate, because then we can get penalized for a year and not even be able to bill Medicaid. And our county's never been in danger of even being close to dropping below that percentage rate. We have some really good participants and I monitor that daily. And even if I'm off working at home, I can even check it from home, so we keep a pretty good watch on it. And we get most of our reimbursement money at the end of June, and we've received over $543,000 in reimbursements over the last 3-year time period. And I talked to Kristen, who's our treasurer, and once we receive those funds, she decides where they're needed and distributes them as they're needed out through the school. So that's pretty much the Medicaid program in a nutshell.
So you all normally allow, for lack of a better word, to treat Medicaid eligible students.
Right.
You can't treat the normal student.
Right.
So you all don't deal with private insurance or anything?
That would be a whole different type of Medicaid program. This one's, it's like its own beast. This one's through the school-based, it's like a school-based Medicaid program, then you've got your regular Medicaid.
Right.
So this one just deals with the students with their IEPs through the school-based setting.
So our providers that work for the school system that provide these, that have their own Medicaid number, the money comes back into the school
Right.
system. So basically, we're just paying the providers whatever our contract with them
Right.
is.
Yep.
And Kristen, does it more than break even or break even? Does it always cover the cost of the therapist?
No.
It doesn't?
No.
Okay. So some of it is being supplemented by the board, in a
Right.
sense.
Right, and I'm thinking there's probably a lot of cases of people that be speech, OT, PT, a lot of students that they see that are probably not Medicaid eligible.
Right.
Or they're not.
Yeah, sometimes they'll have students that they think are Medicaid eligible, but they'll have a different type of insurance. So if we bill them and we think they're Medicaid eligible, it'll kick it out on our side, so we don't get that. It'll say it's got private insurance. So sometimes even they don't know if they've got Medicaid.
So I guess in theory, No Child Left Behind or whatever you want, if a child is in need of, say, speech therapy at the school system, do you all qualify them first, I guess, to Medicaid, or do we just treat them?
It'll start with the parents. They'll go and see if they qualify for, a medical card, and then at the school level, the therapists, like speech providers, PT or OT, they'll ask the parents, hey, do you all have Medicaid? And then if they do, they've got those 3 consents that they need to get signed. So we know if they have Medicaid. Usually there's a spot on the form and they put their Medicaid number on there. So we're alerted that they have Medicaid. So normally in their meetings with the therapists and the parents, they'll let them know if they've got Medicaid.
Yeah, one of my daughters is a speech therapist that works in the school system in Oregon. When you say that usually our reimbursement, which is pretty typical even in the other type of Medicaid system, is not covering, Medicaid's not really covering the cost of our therapist stuff. But how much of the budget do you think the school board does contribute? Now, first of all, let me say I think it's a great thing to be able to provide these services.
Federal law requires us to provide OT, PT, and speech. Speech is a standalone service.
Okay.
That you can qualify for speech and be a speech-only student.
Okay.
But if you need occupational therapy or physical therapy, you can't have that as a standalone services. Those are related services that have to qualify under another category.
I just
We
want to
don't
be clear,
just-
I think it's,
Yeah, we
I
don't
think it's
just
awesome
provide
we're
those.
able to provide those services. I was just trying to figure out about how much so that the public knows that the school board is, contributing to that as well as the education and stuff.
Would
Absolutely.
you say that, I mean?
80%, I'd say 80%'s there, 20%'s us.
Right, we have, our Medicaid eligibility students have dropped over the last several years, so we are not able to bill for as many students. And they honestly provide us a cost settlement at the end, based on our random moments, I believe.
Yep.
And
Well,
that's-
I'm not looking for a figure now. Maybe Kristen, you can look at this sometime and let us know about
But
how
I do
much
want to say Misty
of our
is
budget's going to.
not bragging on herself, because she did not say that we've had 2 outside audits in the past 2 years, and we've had 100% compliance on those.
Yeah, because
And-
Medicaid's tough.
Yes, and that's what you have to pull, the timesheets from the providers, their therapy logs, and then also the billing, and that is all have to match. And Misty and Christy Chapman really do a great job with Medicaid.
Yeah,
So she's not bragging on herself.
they're very, very, very tough.
I did not pay her.
I'll take a copy in the morning.
It
And
says
these are-
low-income families. Is eligibility based
Yeah, it's based on a
solely
certain.
on income?
It is, and I'm not real sure what the income limits are, because that's.
That was my next
Yeah, that's
question.
before me, yeah. Yeah, I'm not real sure what the income guidelines are.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But that's for Medicaid. We provide services to students through IDEA, which is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 1971, reauthorized, I think, in 2004. So if a student does not qualify for Medicare, we still provide services to those students if they meet the eligibility criteria through policy 2419.
So we're required by the federal and state government to provide these services.
Absolutely.
And then the Medicaid part of it becomes a subsidy to us to help provide those
Right,
services.
to help offset the cost.
And in your spare time, you handle our FEMA money, right?
Yeah, I've got all the jobs nobody wants. Nobody wants FEMA, nobody wants Medicaid, nobody wants to work in special ed, I've got all those. Nobody wants any of them.
That's job security for you.
I know, I hope so.
Well, thank you very much. Any other questions?
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
I'm watching a girl play softball, she's on third base. The score is 9-0.
Nice, wow.
And that is the bottom 3. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is you guys approved us to purchase what is called Go Guardian Teacher. It is super needed in the secondary. Before Go Guardian Teacher, of course, last year everybody had Apple devices. With Apple devices, we have for free what was called Apple Classroom. With Apple Classroom, the teacher can set up front, have everybody in their class on one screen. They can see what the screen, they can redirect, they can do that. So when we switched over to the Windows devices, we lost that ability. So this is the same filter that we use at the current moment. Let me see which one it's under.
And it's called what,
Go Guardian Teacher. Oh, I got closed. Maybe, let me check, might be on the edge. I had it open. Don't know what happened. Get logged in, sorry. I was signed in before the board meeting. So after I get logged in here, this is where we would add users, and I was off a few days last week, and Bruce was working in my garage, using my garage. So I got Bruce added, that was my guinea pig. I just actually got the company signed up and started working last week. So if we go to teacher, this is also the same software that if I get a kid, if somebody says a kid's been looking at this, I can look at I can type in any kid's name and it shows me their browsing history on their computer from home or school or wherever they're at. So it's the same software. So what you do is you click create a classroom. A teacher will create a classroom for each class that they have. They set an active time so that it automatically kicks off. So in each classroom, you set two things. You set your class, which is you put your students' email addresses in there, and then you set what's called a scene. A scene gives them more control. So if they would set a scene for Math 1, then they can say, hey, during this class, when these kids are here, they're only allowed to go to these websites, and that's it. So it does that. So, and you can turn chat on and off, but this is my class. This is my sessions that I had, and my kids are always my guinea pigs. Unfortunately, that's just the way it works. When you're the kid of the technology director, you're always saying, hey, so he came with me. This is his device that he uses in school. So we'll start this session. Start a new session here. And you can see, so we started this session, and this is where all, 20 kids or whatever would be you have in your classroom. That's his desktop. If you turn it around, show me your desktop. So that's his desktop on his computer. If we come in there, this is where you would set apply scene and say, hey, these kids can only go here. But that's live. If he would open up something, you can actually see where he's going. So open up a browser. So you can see it comes here. So you can live monitor what the kids are doing in their classroom. So if he's doing something he's not supposed to be doing, then I'm going to check this kid, and I'm going to say lock out device and just put off task. Lock device. So if you look at his screen now, it says off task, and he can't use his device right now. Okay, so it gives him control in that manner. I can kick them out of the class. So if they're on here and they go to the office or go somewhere else, then I can say, hey, exclude from session. You can make them presenter. So when they're logged in on their TV, and I do want to say, these, you probably noticed these are different TVs than what we didn't have. These are the exact TVs that are in every classroom in Davis County Schools. So every classroom has one of these. So I'm going to unlock his device, but I'm ready to start class. So what I want to do is I'm just going to open a tab. Say, hey, we're all going here, guys. We're going to Clever. So open tab. So now he's a Clever. So it gives him complete control. And there's a whole lot more. When we get done, I'll actually get an email, and I'm saying, hey, I can get, so right here, there's off task alerts. Because I can say, hey, if this is a math class, it uses AI. So if you hit settings, then I would have to set this as what type of class it is. And if they go to something that's not an art-oriented subject, then it's going to give me an alert saying, hey, the student's off task. So that would pop up to the teacher that way. Then at the end of the day, I can do timelines, I can take screenshots. So if a kid is a constant issue because they're never where they need to be, you can take a screenshot. Every time you look down and you see they're off task, you can take a screenshot. So you can use that for disciplinary reasons. You can do it for parent meetings. Whenever you have a meeting with the parents, say, listen, they're never doing what they're supposed to be doing. But now you have proof that they're never doing what they're supposed to be doing. Which all this stuff is available with Google or Apple Classroom as well. So we're just kind of giving them the tool back that they had. And some of this, you can send a message directly to students from the teacher, and then at the end of the day, of course, I haven't done this a lot, but you can do student reports. You can see what student was on task, how many minutes they was off task, run those reports. So that's, and I mean, they can see all their sessions that way. But, so that's the quick, I wanted to give you a quick, I didn't want to take too much of your time. I know you've had a long meeting already. That is purchased until January of next year, and we have to renew it if we want to. And this year was purchased with COVID funds. So
this year is purchased with COVID, and it's 1 year.
We have to renew it every year.
And
yes.
We won't have COVID in the future.
Right. We used to have to purchase when we first got our iPads. If we didn't purchase an Apple Express subscription, then like we had to call the same people that everybody buys their iPhone from, from AT&T call, and we'd wait for one instance, we'd wait on the phone for 3 hours. So we used to pay like $15,000 a year for that Express stuff because it was way worth it, but we've got to where we're having pretty much zero issues at iPads, and I haven't renewed that this year, and we haven't needed it. So we just kind of swapped that money from the iPads to GoGuardian for that.
How much is this for?
That was about $13,000 for 1 year, but with the time and the way that it allows, it is really, teachers got a super hard job when every kid has a device, especially in middle and high school.
When you say they can go off task, how far off task can they go? I know the internet and you hear all these stories. Off task would define that just a little bit.
So off task means they're looking at a website or something other than the subject matter that they should be.
But is a lot of websites open, or they have built-in lock? I'm talking about things they should not be involved in.
So we have to get E-rate services. All students have to be filtered. So the state of West Virginia filters all of our devices to the minimum E-rate standards. However, we just bought a filter. You guys probably seen it, or I think you approved it for Fortinet. And it will allow us to, so with the state, I can't pick an exact website, it just categorizes things. So it might categorize, and this is where we've had some issues, so it'll categorize this as, and it'll incorrectly categorize a website as another one, and so it doesn't get blocked. And I can't block specific searches to the state. And also, our networks was not segregated from the rest of the state is another reason for that firewall. So when I purchased that, if Fayette County gets a ransomware virus, we was on the same network without a firewall, we was susceptible. Well, now with Fortinet in place, we're completely segregated from them. So I'm allowed, like, I'll tell you some of the things we've had issues with. Amazon, Pinterest. And we have trouble with those because there's stuff for sale, right? Well, people sell nude photos of themselves. I didn't know that was on there until I look at the history of kids, and they're like, why is a kid going to Amazon 1 million times in a row at 11 o'clock at night? I mean, then you figure out things like that. So now we can granularly block searches. And so it makes it, I mean, we was putting our best foot forward and complying to the law, but now we can do better. And so that's what that's about. So they are blocked from explicit material, they're blocked from gambling, they're blocked from violence. Most gun things they're blocked from, because that's all just categories. So, and if anybody tried to block each individual site, it's impossible. There's millions of them. So that's kind of how far off task can they get. Am I going to tell you they can't find a way around stuff? Listen, I've done this for a long time, and kids and prisoners got two things in common. They got nothing but time, and they're very smart usually. I mean, so, yeah, with GoGuardian, I get warnings saying kids are trying to hack around it. You know, they're running PowerShell scripts and stuff like that, which is kind of funny because I'll just go to them and be like, would you stop? And they're like, oh my gosh, you can tell that? Yeah, we can see what they're doing. And so I'll tell you a few times what the filter has done, and it's sad. I've wanted to sit at my desk and cry a few times, but I've had third graders Google the most painless way to die. You know what I mean? So I can tell you 4 or 5 times. And I get emails and I get flagged for self-harm. So if any of our kids Google anything like that, then I do that. And usually the best thing to do is a CPS referral, and because you don't know why. Like I don't know if mom or dad's doing something. I hate to say it this way, but you don't know why they're having those thoughts. And so if I call mom and dad and they're like, hey, your kid's having some trouble, well, that might be the end of the kid. You know what I mean? Because they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get caught because of my kid. So it's a super hard situation to be in, but that's the reality of the reality of it. So I kind of feel like we've saved a few kids because the board has saw it fit to give a student a device. So that's another benefit of what the filter does for us. Any questions about that? And as soon as we can, we got two TISs to train all of our teachers in this, so it might be a little bit slow to roll out. I think I might try to have some after-school training sessions. I worked with Dr. Lee to see if we can give teachers a stipend to stay after school to train them on how to use it, so they can do that. So we've got that rollout process going.
It'll be accessible right away.
Yes, it's as soon as
after training. Probably.
Yes, it's available to all the secondary teachers. I bought enough licenses so that we can put all 2,000 of our secondary students on there. So. We good on that?
Any questions?
I got one more thing to ask you guys for your opinion of, and that is the people in my department, they have, in the past, they drive vehicles that we have got from RESA, and they're very old and not well. And so we've kind of had to retire a few of those, and coming from the technician side, Mr. Green did the same thing. It's kind of not fair for us to expect them to drive their own vehicle with a whole carload full of tools and everything, and have to unload it every day. So we do provide them a vehicle, and actually, Tommy Beam, his car went down, and so we've been borrowing a car off of transportation, and I was wondering what your guys' thoughts of. I'd like to buy a cargo van, because whenever one of these TVs mess up, we have spares. Teachers use these TVs every day. I mean, it's like taking a chalkboard out of their hand if a TV doesn't work. So I was kind of wanting to know the opinion of the board if I could spend about $30,000 on purchasing a cargo van. If that's something you guys was okay with and not okay with, and I'm not asking for board action. I was just, I talked to Mr. Beam about it, and he told me to mention it today to get some fillers to see if you guys thought that would be okay. Technology could support that cost.
So did you get quotes or anything on one?
I've been looking around, and we can buy used vehicles without bidding them, and for between $25,000 and $30,000, I found some high-rise Ford Transits that have like 70,000 miles on them. So that was kind of my price range. I was trying to stay under 30,000. If you guys saw that to see fit, I think that would be it's not close to a new one. A new one's like 47. Yeah.
I'm an accountant, as long as it's fitting in your budget, I'm not a micromanager. I mean, you talk like you could have in your budget technology.
Yeah.
That's your call.
And I've already talked it over with Kristen Seckel, and she's...
Well, if not, you're gonna pay a bunch of,
Rental fees.
well, or mileage.
Well, so even right now, like they've been driving a Ford Focus and a little Toyota, and a lot of times those vehicles just can't haul what we need to haul. I'm hauling switches to schools right now with a box. One switch box is the size of the top of this podium, and so when you put 3 or 4 in a car, they're full. And so we're stuck trying to, maintenance is always delivering food and custodials, and so we're always stuck trying to work around them. And like if a TV goes down and they're full of custodials, then we're just hoping and praying that I can get my truck from the house that's not raining to get a TV to a school. And so I think that would benefit us the most.
Yeah, we'll bring that up.
So I didn't know if you wanted, if you would kind of give me the soft okay, then I would look for one and find it, and then bring that to you guys to approve. Or you wanted to try to approve something first, but and maybe that's the case, because when you find them, you kind of got to get them. I don't know. So I don't know how you guys want to do that. That would be between you.
Yeah, we'll put it on a future agenda.
Hey, I'll vouch for Chris. I think it probably needs to happen. Some of those vehicles, they've had a nice long life.
I want that.
I know. I was at Hardman one day when
Jets?
I was at Hardman's when axle fell out once. So.
Yeah, I mean, those cars I literally bought new at RISA
Seriously. Fell
close to 20 years ago.
Yeah, they were in bad shape 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I worked there 10 years, I took care of them cars.
How many years ago was that?
Probably 10.
Let me ask a question procedurally from an educational system that I'm still confused about. The board approves the budget, and the budget has all these categories, and the budget has a technology section. Is there a certain level of expense or whatever that still has to come back to the board that we have to approve?
Yes.
That's what I.
Kristen, what's the most that we can spend without board approval on an item?
If we were going to pay for something that costs over $100,000,
That's
the
what
board
I
would
said.
have to approve it. If a PO comes through that is over $25,000, Mr. Bean has to approve
Right.
that if it's between the 25 and 100.
And so that's why I wasn't
So
sure.
in
if-
theory and technically, if he buys a $30,000 vehicle, it does not have to come to board approval. Superintendent can approve.
That's right.
And that's why I was asking that question. I mean, that's a big purchase. For me, $30,000 is a big
No, I
purchase.
appreciate you bringing it to us.
And if I was you guys, I wouldn't like the member of the public to come to me and say, well, hey, where did this $30,000 go? And you're like, I don't know. I mean, that's a bad thing for all of us.
Well, I know what you're saying, but we're gonna see it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see it on the expenditures,
Yeah.
and we're gonna ask, what was that for? But you're just heading out, I mean,
Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
So,
Just trying to figure out what our procedure is.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh, well, wait a minute, Chris.
I got a contract over there.
Well, it's in a minute.
Oh, it's on there.
Okay, action items A, discussion with possible action on 2024-25 Board of Education meeting schedule, and that was in your board packet. The big change on that was change the times from 6 to 5, and the main reason for that is our folks in the central office have been here since 8 o'clock. And so that makes a really long day for them if we start at 6. So is everybody okay with 5? And then instead of having local school improvement council meetings in the evening, we're going to try to have those at 8:30 in the mornings. And that way, the folks at those schools can attend. A lot of times they're tied up after school with other activities. So, and a couple of these meetings we moved around a little bit. It's not necessarily always the first and third Monday.
Yeah, get some holidays in there you have to avoid too.
Right.
And then mandatory meetings like the one we're having on the 16th. Next year's on the 15th.
Right.
I do want you to notice on the 15th for next year, that is the mandatory levy call, which is what we have next week. Now, next week, we are having a regular board meeting at that time, but on this one, that will be at 8 o'clock in the morning meeting, and its only agenda item will be to approve the mandatory levy call. And you can even do that with people to call in if they can't come to that. They can just get to vote on something that's on a previous agenda. But the reason we're doing it that way is because we already have 2 other meetings in April. So we have one on the 7th and 21st. So there's no sense trying to do 3 straight board meetings in a row. So that one will be at 8 o'clock in the morning and just a conference call usually. That's the reason for that.
That reminds me of something, I don't have a problem with the schedule. I mean, as far as personally, I'll make it work whatever the board decides to work, but just reminded me of something, maybe we did it, my mind's not very long. Last year, we had a meeting specifically to do evaluations. Have we done evaluations?
You doing those in May?
Okay. Or do you list those as a meeting? We're going to just special meetings for those? We're supposed to do them on our own?
What we can do, I don't know how you all did it last year in May.
We had a special meeting.
You can do that, or you can have it as part of your regular board meeting. It doesn't matter either way.
But there's two evaluations, one's the superintendent,
One's
one's
the
on the board itself.
Correct.
On ourselves.
Well, yeah, and if y'all remember when we were at our board training,
That's what
I had to download that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember.
And so we probably ought to have a special meeting, because it may take a while to get that worked through.
Okay.
Chris, they dumped that on me.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss that.
I can cover us on our board self-evaluation pretty quick. I've done
Okay,
that
okay.
a
Thank
few
you.
times now, and just let me know when you want to do that. We can get through that pretty
Actually,
think
I
I
wanted
can
to bring it
share
up
it.
while you were still here. I remember we did that last year, you helped us. So I didn't miss that. That answered my question.
Okay,
Do you need a motion on that action?
well,
item, or you
I think we
going
can
with
do all these together. Action item B, discussion with possible action on the 2024-25 contract with Frontier Communications for E-rate services. And that was,
good with that.
I think,
That price dropped a little bit, so it's a little bit
a
cheaper.
little bit cheaper,
And
but
that's a
it's,
5-year contract, so
okay. Action item C, discussion with possible action on right-of-way agreement Frontier West Virginia Incorporated, the right and easement now and in the future to construct, reconstruct, operate, maintain, repair, replace, and remove such communication systems as the grantee may from time to time require. Any discussion on C? Okay, action item D, discussion with possible action on the math curriculum adoption with McGraw-Hill.
Talk to you about this one. That's what I asked him to do. Here.
Well, as you guys already know, this is math instructional materials review year, and has been our task to develop committees to review the materials. You guys remember Mr. Bean gave an afternoon for teachers to have input. They took that to their committee members. We met with our committee members last Friday. They had narrowed it down to 2 choices, McGraw-Hill and Big Ideas. We brought their presenters in. They've gone through the whole scope of what it looks like from K-12. The teachers dug in to see if it matched with the rubrics from the state. And then they did their vote, and it came back almost unanimously for McGraw-Hill. And as you heard them say, anything over $100,000 we have to bring to the board. Math curriculum always is one of the very, very expensive ones that we have, but we have to, with state guidelines, bring it to the board for approval for adoption in the month of April. So we've gone ahead and done that. I believe you probably got the preliminary quote in your packet. That's the preliminary quote if we buy everything that's opted for that adoption. Now, the real fun will start. We'll go back and, pull those apart and see what it is we need to have and what pieces and what funding can come from where.
Does that include training?
It includes the basic training. Typically in past, what we do is we have used extra training, and I've purchased that through federal programs. And just like with the textbooks are required, so we have to purchase that through our levy or state funds. But anything extra, like the manipulative kits, I can also purchase through federal programs. So there's a little bit of grading that goes on with that.
Does it correlate with it correlates with West Virginia standards?
Yes, almost 100%
Are the West
match.
Virginia, are the tests used that are based on that in the classroom?
Yes.
So it's almost 100% match?
Yeah, what did it come out to be?
Several of them were 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you know how that usually is. It's
Yeah.
not.
The promising thing with McGraw-Hill is when they went through the initial screening at the department, they do their initial quick screen, and then anything that they found as a weakness, they took back to their programmers. So even if it wasn't in the print text, it's now in the online part. So teachers pretty much have a resource to teach every standard throughout the way. And then there are some that were in there multiple times.
So even the high school was okay with McGraw-Hill?
Yes.
Wow.
And I pulled the correlations from every
Yeah.
course. Everything that they have on every course is super high. Like, I think the lowest one is 24 out of 27 matched. So looks to be pretty good.
I'm kind of a dinosaur in this stuff. Does everybody get a textbook now, or are they on a computer now with a program? Do these interact, I guess, they have their own computers?
They interact.
Okay.
We have the options, and that's why I said he went ahead and just gave us the whole ballpark price. With elementary, they're consumable, so they would get a new book every year.
Okay.
Once you get to the secondary, high school levels, they have hardbacks. Now, that's where we'll have to jockey with the numbers, because sometimes it's cheaper to buy every kid a hardback because of the way they bundle the license with the software and then what you can get for free with the teachers. So for example, with this company, for every 25 books you purchase, you get the free teacher's kits. Well, depending on the number of teachers we need, sometimes it's cheaper to go ahead and buy the kids the books rather than buy the teacher the kit. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but will it, yeah, do.
Yeah. That's where we'll have to really dig into
Sometimes
that.
you're better off to buy an extra
Parents may
25
peruse the
books.
books, I'd say the kids probably would rather be on their device.
On their device. And that's where we just kind of have to go back and forth and look to see what it is.
Is that one for each child, or is that just one set for a classroom?
The quote he gave us, or the preliminary quote, has the prices per book. Like I said, we have to look and see. Sometimes it's a bundle of 30, and then we buy the online licenses, but it depends on the cost differential. The last adoption, it was cheaper for us for secondary to go ahead and buy the books. And then we got the free teacher guides and teaching materials than it was to only buy 30 math books and then buy the separate licenses and the teacher kits.
No.
We always go for the best deal. We haggle.
So I was asking Mr. Bean, we have a lot of students at homeschool. They're responsible for their own curriculum when they homeschool.
Correct.
And in the past, I know in the past, some schools have loaned those books out, and then they don't get them back, and so we need to put a stop to, if they homeschool, that their curriculum's up to them, you know. We need to put that directive out to our schools, not to loan books out, because we don't always get them back, and they're expensive.
Now, do you want to talk with them about secondary?
Yes, well, one of the things with secondary is that they had a request to have a textbook. And I will tell you, I'm familiar with Alex with McGraw-Hill because that's what we had in Greenbrier County. And my teachers really did like to use the Alex program. I wish that you all could have saw the presentation that they came here and they showed the teachers. I was talking to Dr. Lee and I said, wow, you know, I mean, I was blown away because it was even so more advanced than what we had had prior. I know that it's also on the agenda because when I came here, a discussion was taking place amongst the math teachers that with the new textbook adoption, they wanted to go back to the traditional math pathway instead of the integrated. Nicholas County was only one of 7 counties in the state of West Virginia that was still using the integrated math. So I created a survey and sent it out to all of the secondary math teachers to ask them if they wanted to go back to the traditional math pathway, and which would mean that it is prescribed that all students would have to have algebra 1, they would have to all have geometry, but then there are other 2 math credits that they would be able to choose. So I sent this survey out to the secondary math teachers and it was unanimous that they wanted to go back. And then I asked for the reasons because I knew what the reasons were when I was in Greenbrier County that they said. But several of the reasons that they said was that they felt like that the integrated pathway was out of the natural order of math. And, you know, looking at the math standards, it's like building a house. You have to have one right on top of the other. They build upon each other. So the teachers felt that the integrated pathway, that they skipped a whole section of geometry. So with policy 2510, they changed it. And so now all students have to have Algebra 1, they have to have geometry, and then you can pick the other two. So with the secondaries, they just finished their master schedules, so they're gonna offer a section of Algebra 1 at the middle school, which would give your advanced math students in the 8th grade the opportunity to take algebra in the 8th grade. And then once they would go on to 9th grade, then they could take their geometry and then pick their other 2 math credits, which, you know, by the time that you're a senior, you could already have taken a dual math credit course and already have earned some college credit for math, which, you know, it's the more math that you can have, especially at the secondary level in high school, before you start college, it's only to their advantage. So that's something that I wanted to talk to you all about, because it was unanimous that they did want to go back. But with this system, with or the curriculum with McGraw-Hill, with this Alex, what I really liked about this program, and I had it at my school, is that it develops an individualized plan for the students. And so, you know, of course, at the high school level, we're preparing these students to try to increase your SAT and your ACT scores. So they can take a preliminary baseline data test, and then it will create just a customized skills practice for them. So with that, and then of course with the IXL, if it's used correctly, and that's going to be, you know, the key, the delivery and the application and the teachers making the students use this, it's a win-win. But I was quite impressed with this program, and then I was familiar from an administrator standpoint of I was a data nerd. I always like to see my data of my students and look at growth, and we would discuss those during our PLCs. But the information that these teachers are able to get from the ALEX program, which is through McGraw-Hill with this text, is phenomenal. So I was quite impressed with, you know, like I said, when we adopted it, and we went back to the traditional pathway back in 2017. But, you know, of course, I wanted to see all sides, so I had talked to the State Department. I talked to Tim Flatley, and I said, you know, Tim, be honest with me. You know, do you think traditional is better than integrated? And he said, I can't answer that question. You know, I mean, and I said, well, you know, I want to look at data. So I looked at other comparable counties to Nicholas County to see who was integrated, who was traditional, and what their test scores were, and to see if there was any increase. I couldn't find any difference, you know, if one was better than the other. So again, it's all going to be about delivery of the curriculum and content.
So evaluation will be based on test scores. If we want to see how progressive this is, we're going to be looking at the test scores at the end.
Well, but what I'm saying is, are you asking me about like the McGraw-Hill or Alex or?
McGraw-Hill. Well, if they go back to the tradition.
Right.
How are we going to know?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that I did my own research because I wanted to know.
But you said that they couldn't tell you there was any.
No, the State Department said, you know, we're not going to tell you which is better, because in Pocahontas, they use the integrated. I will tell you Pocahontas County scores are great, but they don't have technology there, you know, and the delivery of the math content, I will tell you, those are some of the best math teachers I've ever seen.
Yeah, sure.
And their test scores prove it. But, you know, Mr. Beam and I have talked about, you know, taking a group of the math teachers and to go up there to see Laurel Dilley's classroom and how those students are engaged, and it will blow you away.
We see these students achieving at the region, so the math, they're getting math.
Right.
But it's not getting through to everybody, right?
Yes.
So what we have to do is find out which one's going to be better for the general group.
Right.
And
Because
some-
the overachievers are gonna get it no matter what you do.
And some of
In
that's,
spite of-
some of that's want to, some of that's not on the, some of that's not on the teacher. It's
Oh,
you-
absolutely.
You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't
Yes.
make it drink.
Right.
So it's
And-
not
and
always on the teacher.
Right.
The water's there, because you know that you see these kids that accomplish number one, number two at the regional. You know, it's there, but for some reason, they're not all drinking.
Well, there's no difference between the integrated and the traditional, what was the other tradition? There's no difference really, the data's not saying any difference. And you had your math teachers go 100% back away from the integrated to that. I would think you'd want to eliminate the excuse of the teachers
Yeah.
and go with what they did because we couldn't discern anything. So, I mean, that's how I would evaluate from a business standpoint. I mean, so, you know, I'm not gonna give the teachers an excuse and give them something that they didn't want if there wasn't any data to back that up, so.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Basically what you're saying, if neither system, the data doesn't do it, it's the teacher and the student. It's the teaching and the students. It's either the teacher, the students are the learner, or it's a combination of both, but it's not the program itself.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion to accept action items A, B, C, and D?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Green makes a motion, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Ferguson, seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And consent items, finance.
This is, oh wait, sorry.
You gave me 2 months.
This is some more invoices that you need to get done today because they're due for the next board meeting. And then our management letter from our auditor, which I should have given you in our, gave you a copy of the audit. Review copy. That's okay. Yeah, so don't forget. Okay. Okay, the first item under consent is payment of current invoices. So you guys have a copy of everything else except for those sheet that I gave you just now for payment of current invoices. Everything else was in your original packet. So if you want to take a minute to look at those and see if you have any questions.
It's just one building.
You got a copy.
Well, yeah, you got the gymnasium.
They're using water mix, water with.
The locker room too. Football.
You got, yeah, getting baseball, got it too.
Yeah.
A little bit of work there. Softball.
I don't have a question on the amount in any way, shape, or form, but I noticed that, you know, we made a large payment for March's reimbursement for the Nicholas County Head Start. Are you making progress there, Terrence, with the Head Start? Are y'all still in negotiations?
We passed our new policy at the last board meeting. Head Start is in agreement with the changes we're making. You know, of course, at the last board meeting, we're being forwarded with parents in about the transportation of Brush River. Other than that, Head Start themselves are on board with what we're gonna be doing. So we're working on a final contract to have that approved by the board soon.
Does anyone have any questions on payment of current invoices?
Okay, if not, then the next item is bids, and there is one bid, and that was in your packet. That's for Gordon Food Service, and that is through the Country Roads Food Cooperative, of which we're a part, and they have selected their food vendor for FY25.
Is that the same one?
And then Sherry wanted me to mention that if you look at the breakdown between the vendors, you'll see that the vendor that was chosen does not have the lowest bid on the sheet. However, that amount doesn't reflect the discounts and the rebates that we would get from that vendor. So when you take those into consideration, that is the best value to go with that vendor.
Do some of those services have fresher food than others? I just wondered. Some of the bidders, do they supply fresher or better food?
Gordon supplies like all of our frozen food, our canned food. You know, the bulk of our things. Now, we also order produce from them, or we have a produce, we can order produce from them, or we have a produce vendor that we use this year. Chris and I have had discussions on whether we're going to put out for bid produce and bakery as we have in the past for bid, because I can purchase those from Gordon through this bid as well. And so I've been talking to my cooks about that to see if they would be able to, you know, store that if I didn't put out 2 additional bids. But, I mean, all of their stuff that we've purchased from Gordon have I mean, it's been good product. If we have had an issue with them, we can contact them immediately and they take care of it.
They're correct, okay. Food's high.
Yeah, it's extremely high.
Get bad food.
It's extremely high.
Yeah.
Okay, the next items are contracts. First being Summersville Baptist Church Family Life Center. That's where Summersville Elementary School would have their award ceremony and talent show there at that facility. And there is an agreement attached that would need signed, but there is no fee. They don't charge the school to do that. They just would like to have that.
Will they do walk them down there?
I believe they did, yes. But my kids were in grade school, yes.
Well, it's not that far.
Is that the big church here on
Yes.
And the second contract that is in your packet is with Insight Investments, and they are the people from whom we lease the modular units at Richwood High School. We talked about that a little bit in the last meeting. We're wanting to extend that for 15 months, and then if need be, we can extend it longer, but for this time, we'll go 15 months, because it will be at least that long until the Richwood schools are finished.
And they increased the amount?
No, they decreased the amount.
What?
Originally, it was $18,300 a month, and they're now going to do it for $15,555 a month.
Must be looking through.
And that is that's reimbursed with FEMA funds.
You know, down below there, it says the sum will be increased by $233,000.
Oh, okay, there is a cover sheet there, which is a change order, and that is just showing that it's an additional cost because we're going more months.
That's
It's just because the cost on the last order ended at the end of this lease period, but since we have a lease period for longer, then they're doing a change order so that they can show that we are gonna incur more expense because we have to lease those
15
modules
instead of
longer.
12, is that? Or,
Well, I'm not sure, I think we had 2 lease periods prior, and this will be the 3rd lease period that we have for those modulars. So they just do that cover sheet to show that the total amount of that PW for using the modulars and that flood expense is increasing because of that. But
it is less per month.
yes, it is less per month, and it's going to be reimbursed by FEMA, so it's not our expense that we're going to have.
Does FEMA get involved in the negotiations at all? Strictly-
No, that was Kristen.
They did not.
That's good, appreciate it.
So that puts us through what? I missed that date. Is it listed on here?
Let me see here.
15 months. Just says 15 months.
And that is effective May 1st of this year, so take us to August 1st?
Yeah, 3 months after next March.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Be close.
Yeah, well, he gave us a 15 and an 18 month, and he probably would have given us another option also, but I said, 15's not enough, is there gonna be a problem at all to have to renew this for a few months, or would we have to do another year? And he said, no, we could, at that time, we would renew it for whatever we needed to renew it for.
Maybe we can get the last month or 2 free from.
Maybe I can negotiate a lower price.
Well, see, if you get into negotiations and just extend the negotiations until we get to the buildings bid.
Great, okay, try that.
We'll be in new school then.
Hopefully.
Oh,
I've got these.
oh, okay.
Does he have a sign here as well, or just on this page?
There's 2 different pages, I did one for everyone, so.
Okay, yeah, there's 2 of them.
Yeah, so I have
So, sign all 3.
Yeah. Okay, my next item is election for fiscal year '24 financial audit performed by an outside accounting firm, which this is just something that has to be done every year with the state auditor's office. If we want to have our audit done by someone other than the state auditor's office, we just have to, the board would have to vote on that, and then we have to let them know. They would have to approve that. But we already put that out for a bid, the audit, for 3 years. So we've already had 2 years of that audit, so we already have an agreement with our auditor firm to do this, but it's just kind of a formality that we have to have that approved by the board, that we're gonna have the outside firm do that. And in your packet, I included the bid that we did. So we're on year 3 of that. Well, this will be year 3, the 2024 audit. The next item, I don't think I included anything in your packet with that, but Kessler's Cross Lanes Fire Department would like to have a couple of televisions that we have already declared surplus donated to them. And it was noted, let's see if I have that or not. that we park buses in their lot, and that they also allow us to plug in the buses in the winter. So they are, you know, kind of
Who you talking
going for
about?
us. The Kessler's Cross Lanes Fire Department. So
And they're probably using these for training purposes.
I believe so, yeah. So
That
they're,
was
you
my
know,
understanding.
they're kind of doing a favor for us, and these were surplus TVs, so I wanted to make sure that it was okay with you guys, if we donated those. And we'll make sure that they have the proper paperwork to show that they are a nonprofit, so that we would be able to donate this to them.
And we have 2 left.
And my last thing is our county and our school audits. I handed out our audit the last meeting. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look through it. But the main bottom line, I guess you'd say, look in the back, type of auditor's report issued is an unmodified report, which means that they didn't find anything material that needed to be changed. If there was something that was not right about what they found, they would do a qualified report. They would tell you a reason why they thought there was an issue. So unmodified is good. No material weaknesses identified. No significant deficiencies, no material non-compliance. It lists the major federal programs that they focused on, the biggest dollar amount federal programs that we had. Nothing reported. And then the letter that I handed you out is basically kind of the same thing. It just says a lot, but the main gist is we noted no transactions entered into by the Nicholas County Board of Education during the year for which there's a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. They noted no misstatements, no significant difficulties in dealing with management, no disagreements with management during the course of their audit. So honestly, everything looks pretty good with that. If you have specific questions about that at any time, just let me know.
Let me ask you a couple questions. I didn't bring my copy, but could you look in there in the, just for the board purposes, if I remember, I read 2 things that I thought that were important. One that basically I think it was around 14 million that the board had discretion over. And then there was an $8 million figure saying kind of the same thing. And I think 14 million was in the general fund.
Okay.
And then you had $8 million that basically that I highlighted, I should have brought it.
Probably the rest of the COVID money, wasn't it?
Well, a lot of it's probably carryover money too, but I just thought it was important the board to realize out of that $60 million budget, a lot of it's allocated by federal, which is federal state law, but it gave us the figure that when we, have to make decisions, and I think it was around 8 million.
Okay. Well, there's a part here that says, let's see, the board's assets exceeded liabilities by approximately 77 million at the close of the year. Of that amount, approximately 14 million may be used to meet the government's ongoing obligations.
Yes. Okay.
And then a little bit farther down there, it says approximately 6 million of this total is available for spending at the board's discretion.
Yeah,
Right.
those were 2 items.
Okay, so.
One, we had money to meet our obligations, but they had to still fall within those guidelines of what we were doing. And a lot of that
a lot of our assets rose because of the construction.
Right.
Basically, that's the
Right.
big takeaway from the thing. And it was a clean opinion, and that was very important, so. it was-
And then, yes, the 6 million that you refer to there is in our governmental funds, ending fund balance. Right, and that's available to spend at the board's discretion. And now, you know, in our general fund, that's money that we get from the state or from our taxes, and that has money in there that is, it's free of, I mean, there are things we have to spend it on, but, you know, if we have a grant, then we have to spend that money on the purpose of the grant. But then the general fund money is more money that we have more freedom with. So, you know, you have to take all of that into consideration. So it might look like you have a lot of money. Like, for example, our Fund 51 is where we have the construction project for the new school. Well, it has a lot of money in it, so it looks like, oh, well, we have a ton of money to spend. But we don't, because we have to spend that on the new school. So that fund, the general fund, is really where, if we had any flexibility, then you would see that in the general fund.
The 14 million?
Um,
6
Yeah,
Or
that
the
was,
six.
that was the 6 million.
Which one?
The 6.
Yeah, the 14 million
The six.
has to be applied towards certain things, and we have money in there to make those obligations and fulfill them. And then the 6 million is, we have some discretion. And, you know, those are things that, you know, when we get into the building cost over at Richwood as well as over at Glade Creek and stuff, hopefully we can get the state and FEMA and everybody to do that, but that's money that you may have to call on, or if the levy wouldn't pass, that's a $4.7 million levy. You know, that would be a combination of cuts and discretionary spending the board would have to vote on at that time. That's the way I look at it. I don't look at the $6 million in a $60 million budget as being a lot of money discretionary.
Right.
I kind of look at it the other way.
Right, I mean, that's a good point. 1 year of not having levy
Yes.
funds.
Yes.
Really.
We still got to carry like, about 15%.
Yeah, I think 13% is what they would like us to carry, and that is just, you know, that would just get us through
Couple
a little
months.
bit, yeah.
Yeah, a month.
So, yeah, I mean, of course, they would like it if we had more. If we had too much more, they would probably wonder why we had so much money, but, yeah. So,
But if we don't, if we use it all, then our system's gone.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, so we
bankrupt.
gotta, yeah, while that might sound like a lot of money, you know, when you think about it that way,
No,
it's really not a lot of money.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not compared to the total overall budget, as far as discretionary spending, everything else is, you know, kind of allocated for. But with that being said, it was a clean opinion. We're probably a lot healthier than a lot of counties. in my opinion. You know, so.
Yeah, I feel good about that. Also, Sarah Lawson did our school audits, and she went through, I think I put a little letter in there kind of explaining what she did, but before we had an outside auditor doing our individual school audits, we had Linda Taylor did our audits for many, many years, and she audited every single transaction of the schools. And it took her a long time. She worked on it in the summer, and it took her a super long time, but it was very thorough. So then, I think there were maybe 6 years, maybe not quite 6 years, that we had an independent audit firm come in and do the audits for the schools. So they just took, you know, they would do a sample of, you know, this many invoices and this many receipts that they would look at, and then say, you know, they're following the rules or they're not. They would give them a list of what they wanted to pull, and so then the schools would have time to get that stuff together and send it to them, and then it would be reviewed, and the school audits at that point came out pretty good. So when Sarah did that this year, she went back to looking at every single transaction. And so in doing that, she had a lot of notes for every school, which you would kind of expect because they weren't used to being looked at so closely. So I think that was really good that she did that, because we do have some areas that we need to work on. I mean, there wasn't anything really major, and everything is, you know, something that's easy to be fixed, but we do need to get that back under control. So that's something, we will work on that, and we will talk to the principals and the secretaries more about that. They all had, she sent them all a little memo, and pointed out every single thing that she found for everything. And so then the schools will come back and they will write a corrective action plan and say, okay, we did this wrong, so here's what we're gonna do in the future to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And then, yeah, we'll be talking to them about that again, and then we'll have trainings before next school year, in the summer right before school starts. We'll talk to them again about some things that we could do maybe to get that back under control. But, I mean, it wasn't anything terrible. It's
Right,
just,
right.
it looks worse this time
And
than
they'll
it
take
has.
care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was glad to see that she's doing that, even though the overall budget, it's an immaterial amount of money that the schools are handling. It is the one that's subject to the most public criticism if they don't, take care of it. And the hammer, as I like to say, I would think would be, hey, if you don't follow the policies and procedures, then the board can take action as far as the allocations of monies that the board gives to the schools. I mean, you gotta have a kind of a hammer to them, as I like to call it. But no, I wasn't, I saw it, I was glad that she's doing that. I think it's important to do it because again, that's where you're gonna get the most public scrutiny if something happens there.
yeah, and it used to be that we really didn't show a lot of the school activity on our financial statements as a county, but now we do. So it's really good to have a handle on what's going on.
That's great. That's a good job.
That's all that I have. There's some out-of-state travel requests there.
Those are basically end-of-year school trips. There's a couple.
Looks like most of those are.
Yeah, a couple vocational or some training trips there. Maybe some competition. Technical.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of tech stuff. And conference, a couple of conferences. Looks like most of that will be funded, the field trips will be funded by the schools, and the career and technical will be, they have funds for those. And then Dr. Lee is covering one of these conferences.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Do we have a motion to accept consent items A, finance 1, 2, 3, with the A under bids and A and B under contracts, and then also under finance 4, 5, and 6, and then of course the 9 out-of-state travel request.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Ferguson makes a motion, seconded by Mr. Green. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Personnel.
It's that time of year. It gets busy. Good evening. We have professional, continuing contracts, service contracts, probationary contracts, substitute teachers, and then some service employment, summer school resignations, retirements, and some leave requests. I also would like to point out the internship for Stephanie Westfall. That's for next fall, but we wanted to go ahead and get that on there.
And I apologize, I got to catch up to speed on some of this. What's the difference between a continuing contract and the people listed there and a probationary contract and the people listed there?
A probationary contract is for the first 3 years of employment, and it's a year-to-year contract.
And then when they hit at the end of year 3, or 3 good years of employment, then they were issued a continuing contract.
So if it's a probationary contract, it's not necessarily tied into the number of years that they may have. It just may be with our school system.
Yes and no.
Or all the probationary contracts usually newer teachers?
Primarily, yes, but for instance, I'll just use myself as an example, okay? So I came from a different county, so the first year I'm here, I have a probationary contract, and then following that first year here as a successful year, I would be issued a continuing contract.
After 1 year?
After 1 year,
Because you
yes.
had to teach. Okay.
Right, yes.
Any questions?
We know that we're changing the date to the
He
12th.
pointed it out at the beginning. We did have that one date change on Rachel Ford from April 4th to April 12th that Mr. Dean pointed out at the beginning of the meeting. I would like to thank Mr. Tyree for his years of service to the school system and wish him all the best.
We've used him a lot of them.
Yes.
50
They'd
years.
seen go.
50 years.
Mhm.
So that's amazing.
But, yeah, probably his third retirement, I think.
Yeah, I asked him if this was really, he said it is.
He's
Yeah.
failed 3 times.
Yeah. Just couldn't take it, had to go back.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the personnel agenda as presented?
Make the motion.
Mr. Green makes a motion, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Berry, seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next, we have reports, SESC, Mr. Ferguson.
Yeah, Superintendent Dean's going to give our report.
If I can find it, man. I've got to do my notes here, but here it is. There was 2 items that came up at the SESC meeting. One, they're creating a committee to plan the Principals Academy for this summer. The Principals Academy last year was held at Tamarack, and we didn't have any of our principals, I don't believe, that went to that. But this year, we are going to try to get as many principals as available to go on August 1st and 2nd to, I think it's going to be at Tamarack again. And Mrs. Weitzel, I volunteered her to be on the committee to help design the program. So she's going to help with the staff development trainings that she feels is necessary for our principals to get. The second thing is that there was a program called Defined Learning. It's a program suggested for schools that have trouble finding qualified substitute teachers. It's a package of activities that can be used when students are pre-assigned for under the guidance or under the guidance of an inexperienced or unqualified substitute teacher. It's kind of like snow packets that we do now for snow days, or sub packets that the regular teachers do, but this is more long-term. It's kind of a set of lessons that they can teach. I don't know much more about it than that. They just did a presentation. I'm not sure the SESC is going to go any farther with it, but those were the 2 topics of most discussion at the last meeting. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Bright Horizons, Mr. Green?
Nothing this time.
Nothing, thank you. So items for future agendas? Anything?
That's Safe Haven. Do you want that on the next one?
You want a discussion on safe haven? Or
Maybe we could throw on the agenda for you all to give me permission to seek bids on Safe Haven. We could put that on the agenda.
Yeah, because I would think we could go ahead and seek the bids. and
Discussion also, yeah.
Even Homeland Security gets grants.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to.
At least give us an idea of what we're looking at if we don't get a grant. And because I know that one of the things we talked about in our levy is that we were going to put more money towards school safety. So that may be, if we get a grant, we can use that money for other things for school safety. There's a lot of
It'd be
school
interesting
safety
to
issues.
get a bid for each school, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
County
because they're
schools
different
different,
sizes.
And that would
Yeah.
help us.
Well, and we could always, some schools need a man trap or whatever you call them.
And we probably wouldn't get a bid on Sunset Elementary and Glade Creek at this point. Because we're not gonna be using
Right.
schools in a couple of years. So, but,
Anything else for future agendas? Okay, future meeting dates, regular meeting as required by West Virginia Code, Tuesday, April 16th, 2024, right here at the board office, starting at 5 o'clock. And 15B, we need to have an executive session on personnel.
I make a motion, we'll go into executive session, discuss personnel.
Okay, Mr. Ferguson makes a motion, seconded by? Second by Mr. Berry. All in favor? Aye.